When you think of Aldi, you probably think of cheap. But when I think of Aldi, I think of ALDImobile, which is my favorite Australian SIM card. Even though when I'm recording this in Taiwan, I'm not in Australia right now, I still use it as my secondary SIM card because I really love ALDImobile. And in this video, we will be exploring everything you need to know about ALDImobile so that you can decide if ALDImobile is also the best for you. So it's time to explore and let's get started. Hi! It's Odo for Phone Travelers here, where we talk about everything related to traveling with your phone, such as buying a SIM card in Australia, or in this case, ALDImobile. If videos like this are interesting to you, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Before we even talk about ALDImobile, we need to know about the telecom situation here in Australia. In Australia, we have three main operators, which are Telstra, Optus, and Vodafone Australia. And then we have about 47, 48, let's just say 50 MVNOs, standing for mobile virtual network operators, which are companies or operators using the networks of the main operators, so they don't have their own antennas and stuff like that, meaning that they can be cheaper. Well, ALDImobile is a Telstra MVNO using the Telstra network, and just between you and me, if you are unaware of the network situation in Australia, Telstra is the best coverage, faster speeds, but Telstra has two different networks. It has the retail network that it uses for itself and Boost Mobile, and the wholesale network for all the MVNOs. Well, there are some differences between those two networks, but the most important thing you need to know is that the wholesale network, the coverage of that one is slightly worse than the retail network, and your speeds will be kept to all the way up to 100 megabits per second, sometimes 101 if you're lucky, but let's just say 100. So your speeds will be slower, and with Telstra itself, you can get speeds all the way up to 400, 500 now, especially with 5G, so that's a trade-off. To learn more about the differences between the retail network and the wholesale network, I have a video up there explaining the differences. Now we know about the MVNO situation. Now we need to know how much an ALDImobile SIM card costs. You can get an ALDImobile SIM card for $5 and it includes $5 in credit. Well, where can you actually get yourself a SIM card? You have to go to an Aldi store to get yourself the SIM card because it's a store branded SIM card, just like Coles Mobile, for example, or Woolworths Mobile, or you can order it online if you want to. So what about recharging? Well, Australia is more of a modern country. I wouldn't say modern country, it is actually a modern country, but things are done through apps and websites a lot, so voucher codes and stuff like that. It can sometimes be hard to find, but with ALDImobile it's quite easy to find. If you go to an Aldi store, you can get recharge vouchers. In the case of myself, I've only used the website and app because it was convenient, so I cannot tell you how to recharge with a recharge voucher, but I can tell you that if you prefer to check your balance through text, and then you text the word balance to 590, and then you can see your balance on the screen. But of course, you can also use the app and site to see your balance and top up. And the thing is, the app of ALDImobile is quite decent. I've used some apps of other operators that are not so decent, but ALDImobile has done a good job, so you should use the app. Okay, so let's talk about the packages. ALDImobile actually has 4 different packages, but we'll only be talking about 3. And the reason why is that this channel is primarily focused on travelers, and the 4th package is actually a family package that you can share with your family. But most people who travel to Australia won't be staying there for so long, so the family package might not be that beneficial, and it's quite pricey unless you have 4 other people to share this with. So we'll talk about 3 different packages: 1 combo plan, 1 data only plan, and 1 add-on. But before we talk about that, there's a very nice concept here in Australia, which I believe more operators around the world should do. It's something they call data banking or data rollover, depending on the operator you're with. That means that you can roll over your unused data to the new month, and sometimes multiple months, to like unlimited expiry, depending on the conditions of the operator. However, there are some conditions you need to be aware of. You can roll over or data bank up to 100 gigabytes of data with ALDImobile, and it also depends on the plan you have. So I will show you on the screen what the conditions are, or what the data banking allowances are, so that you are aware of this. Now, let's talk about the packages. First, we have the mobile plans, and there are 4 different options, starting from $15 all the way up to $45, 3 gigabytes of data all the way up to 55, always unlimited local text and talk, unlimited minutes to 15 countries, and then you get select minutes to 35 countries, same for international SMS, all valid for 30 days. Well, what are those 15 countries you can call to? I'm showing them on the screen. Places like Canada, Malaysia, United Kingdom, United States, India, and a few more. But then you also have the included minute allowance, which is not limited. And then you have these 35 countries that I'm showing you on the screen. But pay attention, because some of them say in brackets fixed, meaning that you can only call to landline numbers. But I'm not sure where landline is still popular, because we all, well, I say we all, but most people nowadays, I believe, use mobile phones. So let's say if you try to call to Taiwan, you can call to Taiwan, but it has to be a landline number, otherwise it will be charged like an off-bundle way, because it's only fixed. So be aware of this. Okay, then you have the data plans, which are plans that are valid for a full year, 365 days. Unless it's a leap year, then, well, one day shorter, but still a full year with 30 gigabytes of data all the way up to 265 gigabytes of data. But that will cost you 365 Australian dollar, but still the validity of your data will be, well, valid for a full year. So quite cool. But this one doesn't have the data banking / data rollover thing, because, well, it's a full year anyway. And then you have the add-ons, which you can buy if you're almost out of data with your data plans or your mobile plans. But you need to be aware of that there's a cap of 40 gigabytes of data that you can buy with the add-ons. So now the question is, would I recommend ALDImobile? Well, I started this video off saying that ALDImobile is my most favorite, Australian SIM card. But there are still some things that might make ALDImobile not a good option, and that's the fact that they use the Wholesale network, meaning that your coverage will be a little bit worse compared to Telstra itself, especially if you are in the outback, which can be a big issue, and the speeds are capped. So that's why I have two other recommendations for you in case you actually care about like the highest or the best coverage and the highest speeds. One, you can go with Telstra itself, but Telstra itself is the most expensive, well, operator in Australia, but they are the best. Or you can consider going with Boost Mobile, which is the only MVNO right now that is allowed to use the retail network, meaning that you can get the same speeds as Telstra and the same coverage, and Boost Mobile is cheaper than Telstra itself. And lucky for you, I've made explored videos about those operators as well, which I have been showing you one of the images already, but the eyes are on the screen, or they were on the screen. I'm not sure depending on how I edit this, but yes, those are your options. But let's say if you want to learn more about operators here in Australia and you want to get your first Australian SIM card, or you might be considering switching operators, well, I recommend you to check out my Australia SIM card buying guide, very in-depth, up there, where I'll be talking about 15 SIM cards that are easily accessible to travelers, because I'm not going to talk about 50 SIM cards, because one, that's crazy, and two, most of them are not available to travelers. But if you prefer to read, make sure to go to ptw.link/Australia-guide, where you can read my in-depth guide about these 15 Australian SIM cards that are easily accessible for travelers. But this information is also useful for Australians living in Australia and are trying to compare plans and maybe want to switch to another prepaid SIM card. So you have two resources, the video and the guide. Once again, I'm Otto from Phone Tourist, where we talk about everything related to traveling with your phone, such as local SIM cards, local SIM card reviews, international roaming, speed tests, just everything related to traveling with your phone. Of course, I talk about more Australian SIM cards, but I don't just stick with Australia, I don't just stick in Oceania, I talk about operators all over the world. And if you always want to buy the best or the cheapest SIM card all over the world, you better subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with the best and the cheapest SIM cards all over the world. On the screen you will see some related cards. Make sure to like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.